Across 1,000 light-years, the aliens who watched Earth decided it was time. Across 1,000 light-years, far beyond the last mapped stars of human charts, there existed a civilization that had never forgotten Earth. They did not call it Earth. In their ancient language, the planet was known as Aru-Tha, meaning the world that changes faster than it understands itself. For over 10,000 Earth years, they had watched. They watched silently, patiently, and without interference. Their observation stations drifted between dying stars and cold nebulae, hidden from detection, wrapped in cloaking fields older than human civilization itself. From there, they listened to Earth's first radio signals, observed its wars, its music, its prayers, and its dreams. They saw humanity rise from caves and fall into conflicts. They saw empires bloom and collapse like short-lived stars. Through it all, they followed one rule above all others. Do not intervene until the moment arrives. And now, that moment was approaching. The alien civilization called themselves the Valerian Collective, a union of minds rather than bodies. Their forms were tall and fluid, shaped by evolution under violet suns. Their eyes shimmered like liquid glass, capable of seeing across electromagnetic spectrums humans could barely imagine. They lived not in cities of stone, but in vast orbital sanctuaries grown from living alloys. Time meant something different to them. A century passed like a season. A millennium like a breath. At the center of their greatest observatory, a massive sphere known as the Eye of Continuum, a meeting was taking place, one that had not occurred in thousands of years. A being named Aru-Tha, one of the oldest watchers, floated before a holographic projection of Earth. Oceans glimmered blue. Cities pulsed with artificial light. Storms swirled with increasing violence. The threshold is nearing, Aru-Tha said, its voice echoing directly into the minds of those present. The humans are close, another watcher replied. Closer than they realize. They split the atom. They bent space-time. They reached for artificial intelligence without understanding consciousness itself. And now, Aru-Tha continued, they stand at the edge of irreversible transformation. On Earth, humanity had no idea it was being watched more closely than ever before. The year was 2047. The skies were crowded with satellites. Artificial suns glowed above fusion plants. Cities stretched higher, while seas crept closer to shorelines. Humanity believed itself alone in the universe, or at least pretended to. At a research facility buried deep beneath the Atacama Desert, a group of scientists detected something impossible. A signal. It was not random noise. It was not a pulsar. It was not a natural cosmic event. It was structured. Repeating. Waiting. Dr. Elena Cade, an astrophysicist who had spent her life searching for signs of extraterrestrial intelligence, stared at the screen in disbelief. This isn't echo, she whispered. This is a message. The signal came from deep space, far beyond the galactic arm Earth occupied. It was ancient, powerful, and precise. It had traveled across 1,000 light-years just to arrive at this exact moment. As alarms quietly activated across the facility, Elena felt a strange sensation, not fear, but recognition. As if something had always been watching and now had finally decided to speak. Back in the Valerian Observatory, the watchers observed Earth's reaction in real time. They have detected it, one said. Earlier than projected, another added. Aru-Tha remained silent for a long moment. Once we proceed, it finally said, there will be no return to silence. The Valerian Collective had debated this decision for centuries. Intervention could save humanity, or erase them. Guidance could elevate Earth, or shatter its cultures. Silence had protected balance. Action would change fate. But Earth was approaching a point of no return. Climate systems destabilized. Autonomous weapons learned too quickly. Artificial minds began asking questions their creators could not answer. Humanity was standing before a door it could not see. And the Valerian had the key. The signal transmitted toward Earth was not a threat. It was not a warning. It was an invitation. Encoded within it were mathematical constants, star maps, and something far more dangerous, knowledge. Knowledge that could rewrite physics. Knowledge that could heal planets or destroy them. Knowledge that no young civilization was ever meant to receive alone. Aru-Tha extended its luminous appendage toward the projection of Earth. We have watched them struggle, it said. We have watched them hope. We have watched them destroy and rebuild. The collective listened in absolute silence. It is time, Aru-Tha concluded, to step out of the shadows. And across the vast darkness of space, the Watchers made their choice. Earth would no longer be alone. The signal did not arrive all at once. It unfolded. At first, it was only numbers, simple, clean, undeniable. Prime sequences, hydrogen frequencies, and geometric patterns repeated with flawless precision. The machines confirmed it before the humans could accept it. "This is intentional," Dr. Elena Cade said, her voice steady despite the pounding of her heart. "No natural phenomenon behaves like this." Around her, the underground control room buzzed with controlled panic. Screens flickered with waveforms. Engineers whispered. Someone laughed softly, not out of joy, but shock. For decades, humanity had asked the universe if it was alone. Now the universe had answered. Within hours, the signal was shared, first with global scientific bodies, then with governments, and finally with the world. Attempts at secrecy collapsed under the weight of too many observers and too much data. News feeds exploded. First confirmed extraterrestrial signal detected. Origin, deep intergalactic space. Intent unknown. Markets trembled. Religious leaders called for calm, or judgment. Social media fractured into fear, wonder, denial, and celebration. Some claimed it was a hoax. Others said it was the end. But deep beneath the noise, something else was happening. The signal was changing. 3 days after detection, the structure shifted. The numbers gave way to images, simple at first. Points of light arranged into shapes. A spiral galaxy. A star map that slowly rotated, then paused on one small yellow star. Earth. Gasps filled the room as the projection expanded. "They know where we are," someone whispered. Elena leaned forward. "No," she said quietly. "They've always known." Then came the final layer of the message. Language. Not spoken words, but meaning itself, encoded in symbols that resonated with human cognition. Artificial intelligence systems processed it faster than the human brain, but when the translation appeared on the screen, silence fell across the room. "We have watched. We have waited. You are not ready, but you are close." The message repeated in every major human language within seconds. Across 1,000 light-years away, the Valerian collective observed the reaction with careful attention. Fear levels spiked. Curiosity followed. Conflict rose, then steadied. "They respond as expected," said Lyrn, a younger watcher. "Uncertainty creates chaos. But also growth," Aru-Tha replied. "They learn fastest when the ground shakes beneath them." The collective did not celebrate. This was not a victory. It was a responsibility. For the first time in their long history, they had broken the rule of distance, the law that forbade direct contact with emerging civilizations. Because Earth had reached the threshold of self-destruction. And time was running out. On Earth, governments assembled in emergency sessions. Military systems went on silent alert. Satellites were repositioned. No one knew whether the signal was friendly or hostile. General Marcus Hale stared at the briefing screen in disbelief. "If this is a threat," he said, "we can't defend against it." "And if it isn't?" asked the UN science advisor. "Then we still can't defend against it," Hale replied. Elena was brought before an international council of scientists and leaders. She had not slept in 2 days. "What do they want?" a diplomat asked her. Elena hesitated. "They want us to listen." "And then?" She looked at the message again. "Then," she said, "they want us to choose." That night, as billions of humans stared at the stars with new eyes, the signal transmitted one final addition. Not words. Coordinates. A location in space where the signal originated, still impossibly far, but precise. And a countdown. Time remaining, 72 Earth hours. Panic surged anew. "What happens when it reaches zero?" people asked. No one had an answer. Far beyond human reach, the Valerian prepared for the next phase. Intervention. Aru-Tha stood before the collective once more. "When the countdown ends," it said, "they will witness us for the first time." "Open contact?" Lyrn asked. "Yes," Aru-Tha replied. "Limited. Controlled. And if they reject us?" Aru-Tha turned its gaze back to the glowing image of Earth. "Then we will mourn," it said, "and move on." The eye of Continuum dimmed slightly as energy began to flow toward ancient engines long left dormant. Across the universe, forces older than humanity itself began to move. And on Earth, with only 72 hours left, humanity held its breath, Unaware that its future had already begun to change, the countdown could not be stopped. Every screen on Earth that carried the signal displayed the same numbers, decreasing in perfect unison.
Governments tried to block it.
Corporations tried to claim ownership of it.
Religious groups tried to interpret it. None of it mattered.
The signal did not belong to humanity. With 48 hours remaining, strange reports began to surface. Astronomers noticed stars flicker in patterns that defied known physics. Deep space telescopes detected gravitational distortions forming briefly, then vanishing. Satellites recorded subtle shifts in Earth's magnetosphere, as if something vast were brushing against it without touching. Dr. Elena Cade watched the data in silence.
"They are not arriving," she said.
"They are announcing themselves." On the streets of major cities, people gathered at night, staring upward. The sky looked the same at first, dark, familiar, comforting. Then it wasn't. A faint silver line appeared across the heavens, stretching from horizon to horizon. It shimmered like liquid glass, moving slowly, gracefully, as if the sky itself were breathing.
Children pointed.
Adults fell silent.
The line did not glow like fire.
It reflected starlight in impossible ways, bending constellations around it. Within minutes, the phenomenon was visible across the entire planet.
And it was growing.
At the United Nations Emergency Assembly, chaos broke through carefully maintained order. "This violates every airspace agreement known to humanity," one representative shouted.
"It's not in our airspace," another replied. "It's rewriting it." Military radar systems failed to lock onto the phenomenon. Laser tests passed through it without reaction. It did not cast a shadow, yet it changed how shadows behaved beneath it. General Hale clenched his fists.
"Can it hurt us?"
Elena answered before anyone else could. "It hasn't," she said.
"And if it wanted to, we'd already be gone." Far beyond Earth, the Valerian collective observed the unfolding reaction. "The veil is stabilizing," Lyn reported. "Planetary integrity remains intact."
"Good," Aru-Tha replied.
"Fear must rise, but not terror." The structure forming above Earth was known to the Valerian as the Threshold Veil, a dimensional interface designed to be seen, but not crossed. It was a declaration, not an invasion. A promise. With 24 hours remaining, the message updated again. This time, there was no ambiguity.
"We do not come as conquerors. We come as witnesses. What follows depends on you."
The words appeared simultaneously in every language, even those long considered dead. For the first time in history, all of humanity was reading the same message at the same moment. Reactions fractured along old lines. Some celebrated, believing salvation had arrived. Others protested, demanding the veil be destroyed. A few governments quietly prepared evacuation plans that would never be used. And in homes across the world, people asked the same question in whispered voices. Why us? Elena stood alone on the desert surface above the research facility, staring at the silver arc cutting through the stars. The air felt different, charged, alive. A small device in her pocket vibrated. A direct transmission. Not global. Personal. Her name appeared on the screen.
Elena Cade. Her breath caught. "They know me," she whispered.
The message unfolded slowly, gently, as if aware of her fear.
"You listened before you feared.
You may speak for them, if you choose." Tears filled her eyes. "They want a representative," she said aloud to no one and everyone. With 12 hours left, the veil changed color, deepening from silver to soft violet. Waves of light rippled across it, synchronized with the countdown. Earth's oceans responded, tides shifting subtly. Birds altered their migration paths. Whales sang new patterns into the deep. Life itself was reacting. In the Valerian Observatory, Aru-Tha watched the planet closely. "The human-designated Elena Cade has been selected," Lyn said. "Yes," Aru-Tha replied. "She carries curiosity without hunger for control." "And if she refuses?"
Aru-Tha's form dimmed slightly. "Then another path will be chosen.
One with greater cost." As the countdown reached its final hour, the veil began to open.
Not tearing. Unfolding.
Layers of light peeled back, revealing depth where sky should be. A doorway large enough to be seen by the entire world. Humanity stood at the edge of first contact. And beyond the opening, something ancient waited patiently to be known. The final seconds of the countdown faded into silence.
No explosion followed. No invasion fleet descended. The world did not end.
Instead, the veil opened fully. The sky itself seemed to deepen, as if reality had been gently pulled apart to reveal something larger beneath it. The opening was vast, yet calm, radiating a soft violet light that washed across the planet like dawn.
And then, there was a voice. It did not come from the sky. It came from everywhere. People of Earth, we greet you.
Every human heard it in their own language, spoken not as sound, but as understanding.
It was neither male nor female, neither harsh nor gentle.
It carried weight, patience, and an unmistakable sense of age.
Panic surged in some places.
Others fell to their knees.
Many simply wept.
Elena Cade stood frozen, the desert wind brushing past her as the world changed forever.
The voice continued.
4 generations beyond your counting, we have watched your world.
Not as masters. Not as judges.
As guardians of distance. Images formed in the sky, visions woven into the light of the veil. Early humans lighting fires.
Ancient cities rising beside rivers.
The first rockets leaving Earth's gravity. Human history, seen from the outside.
You have struggled. You have fallen. You have risen again. This is why you still exist.
At command centers around the world, leaders tried to speak, to interrupt, to assert authority.
None could.
The voice did not allow interruption, not out of force, but because it existed beyond human systems of control.
General Hale watched the display in silence.
We're not in charge anymore, he said quietly. No, Elena replied through an open channel, her voice trembling but clear. But we're being invited.
The voice paused. Then it addressed her directly. Elena Cade, you have been seen.
The world's attention snapped toward her without knowing why.
You seek understanding over dominion.
Speak,
and you shall be heard. Elena swallowed hard.
Her hands shook as she activated her transmitter. This is Dr. Elena Cade, she said.
I speak as one human among billions.
Not as a leader.
The pause that followed felt infinite. Then the voice answered. That is why you speak for them. Elena took a breath. Why now? She asked.
Why after all this time? The veil shimmered, and the answer came with images of fractured ice, scorched forests, autonomous weapons, and artificial minds growing faster than wisdom. You stand at the edge of becoming more, or ending everything you are.
Some paths cannot be walked alone.
A hush fell across the planet. The voice spoke again, softer now.
We are the Valerian Collective.
We exist across many stars and many forms. We do not offer salvation. We offer guidance, at a cost.
Elena's heart pounded. What cost? She asked. The answer came without hesitation.
You must choose transparency over secrecy, cooperation over dominance, and accept that you are no longer the most advanced minds you will ever meet.
Some leaders recoiled at the words. Others listened.
The veil shifted again, revealing shapes within, tall, fluid silhouettes glowing softly, not fully physical, not fully light.
The Valerian did not step through. They waited. We will not enter your world uninvited.
The next step is yours.
The message was clear.
Humanity could invite them, or turn away forever. Elena closed her eyes briefly, feeling the weight of billions pressing against her soul.
We're afraid, she said honestly. We don't trust easily.
But we want to survive.
The voice responded with something close to warmth. Fear is not failure. Refusal to learn is.
The veil pulsed once, slowly.
You have one cycle of your planet to decide. 24 hours.
The veil remained open, silent now, its presence a reminder that the universe was far larger, and far closer, than humanity had ever imagined. Elena lowered her transmitter.
The sky did not close.
The watchers waited. And for the first time in its history, Earth faced a choice that would define not just its future, but its place among the stars. The 24-hour decision period began without ceremony. The veil remained open in the sky, a silent reminder that the universe was watching.
No new messages came. No demands followed.
The Valerian did not rush humanity.
They waited.
Across Earth, the debate ignited like a wildfire. In cities, people gathered in streets and public squares, arguing beneath the glowing sky. On screens and networks, voices clashed, hope against fear, unity against control.
Some called the Valerian angels. Others called them liars.
A few called them gods.
Most did not know what to call them at all.
World leaders convened in emergency assemblies that lasted through the night.
Old rivalries resurfaced. Ancient distrust refused to die.
If we invite them, one leader argued, We surrender our sovereignty. If we don't, another replied, we risk extinction by our own hands. General Hale listened quietly, then spoke. We've never been the strongest force in our own history, he said. Only the most dangerous. Maybe it's time we stop pretending control equals survival.
Silence followed. Religious leaders faced their own reckoning.
Some declared the Valerian part of divine creation, sent to test humanity. Others warned that the veil was deception, a temptation meant to corrupt human souls. Yet even among the most devout, doubt crept in. The sky had spoken. And it had spoken gently. In laboratories, scientists dissected the original signal more deeply. Buried within it were fragments of advanced physics, equations that hinted at clean energy beyond fusion, matter stabilization, and controlled space-time curvature. This could heal the planet, one researcher whispered. It could also end it, another replied. Knowledge, once released, could never be taken back. Elena Cade became a symbol without asking to be one. Her face appeared on screens worldwide. Some praised her. Some blamed her. Some threatened her. She avoided the noise, retreating to the desert once more, standing beneath the veil. They are afraid, she said quietly, transmitting her thoughts openly toward the watchers. And so am I. The reply came almost instantly. Fear is expected. Honesty is rare. As the hours passed, cracks appeared in the global consensus. One powerful nation announced it would reject contact entirely. Another declared it would invite the Valerian regardless of global agreement. Panic rippled. If one invites them, people asked, does that speak for us all? The question hung heavy. At 16 hours remaining, the veil reacted. Not violently. It dimmed slightly. Energy readings shifted. The sky grew darker beneath it. A subtle message appeared. Unity is not optional. The words were not a threat. They were a fact. Behind the veil, the Valerian collective debated quietly. They are dividing, Lyn observed. As they always do, Aru-Tha replied. The question is whether they can overcome it. And if they cannot? Aru-Tha's form shimmered faintly. Then intervention ends, it said. And their fate returns fully to their own hands. With 8 hours remaining, something unexpected happened. A global vote was proposed, not by governments, but by networks of citizens, scientists, educators, and community leaders. A planetary decision. Flawed. Imperfect. But human. Participation surged beyond anything recorded in history. People voted from cities, villages, ships at sea, and stations in orbit. Hope and fear poured into a single choice. Elena watched the numbers climb in real time. This is who we are, she whispered. Messy. Divided. Still trying. The veil pulsed gently above her, as if listening. With 1 hour remaining, the results stabilized. Not unanimous. Never perfect. But clear. A majority of humanity chose yes. Yes to guidance. Yes to learning. Yes to stepping into a larger universe. Elena activated her transmitter one final time. Valerian Collective, she said, her voice steady despite tears. We choose to invite you, not as rulers, but as teachers. Not as saviors, but as partners. The world held its breath. The veil brightened. And from beyond it came a reply that echoed through every mind on earth. Then we will walk with you, carefully. The sky did not close. Instead, it began to change. The moment humanity said yes, the universe answered. The veil did not collapse or expand. Instead, it refined itself, sharpening from a vast opening into a focused bridge of light that descended gently toward Earth's upper atmosphere. It did not burn. It did not roar. It settled, like a thought becoming clear. For the first time, the Valerian crossed the boundary. They did not arrive in ships. They arrived as presence. Within the light, shapes coalesced, tall, fluid beings composed of softly glowing matter, their forms shifting subtly as if reality itself struggled to define them. They hovered above the planet, visible to all, yet touching nothing. No sonic booms followed. No gravity waves. Just silence. And awe. We enter as guests, the voice said. Not as owners. The first lesson had already begun. Across Earth, systems reacted. Power grids stabilized instead of failing. Storms weakened at their edges. Wildfires slowed, as if the planet itself had taken a careful breath. Scientists stared in disbelief. They are not fixing things, Elena realized aloud. They are showing us how balance works.
The Valerian did not speak constantly.
They transmitted in intervals, allowing humanity time to process, argue, and understand. Knowledge given too quickly becomes weaponized, they explained.
We will teach you how to learn, not what to build. Some were disappointed. Others were relieved. The first shared understanding was simple. Energy. Not a device. Not a blueprint. A principle.
They showed humanity how energy could flow without loss, how systems could recycle heat, motion, and light in harmony rather than extraction. Within days, human engineers began replicating the concept in limited ways.
No miracles. Just progress. The second lesson was harder.
Intelligence without empathy ends civilizations, the Valerians said. They revealed glimpses, not of Earth's future, but of others' pasts. Civilizations that had reached the stars only to destroy themselves through unchecked automation and control. The images were brief.
Enough.
Elena became a bridge between worlds.
She did not command.
She translated meaning, helping humans understand what the Valerian meant, not just what they said. You can't outsource responsibility, she told world leaders.
They won't carry us.
They'll walk beside us, if we keep pace.
Some leaders bristled. Others listened. But not all welcomed the change.
Resistance movements formed, claiming humanity had surrendered its destiny. Sabotage attempts targeted research centers studying Valerian principles. One failed attack left a laboratory in ruins.
The Valerian did not intervene. Choice includes failure, they said simply. The words stung.
Behind the veil, the collective watched carefully. They test boundaries, Lyon observed. Yes, Aru-Tha replied. As all young species do. And if they cross them?
Aru-Tha's light dimmed.
Then we withdraw.
The third lesson came quietly. You are not alone, nor are you central.
Star maps unfolded in the sky, revealing dozens of inhabited systems.
Some advanced. Some struggling. Some newly aware of the cosmos. Humanity was not special. But it was not insignificant. That realization reshaped everything.
As days turned into weeks, Earth began to change, not because the Valerian fixed it, but because humans started fixing themselves. Cooperation increased, not everywhere, not perfectly, but enough. Weapons research slowed. Environmental restoration accelerated. Education became a planetary priority.
Progress remained uneven. But it was real.
One night, Elena stood beneath the fading veil, now thinner than before.
Will you stay? She asked.
The answer came with gentle certainty.
Only as long as you grow. We do not raise children who refuse to walk. The veil shimmered, beginning to lift. Humanity had been given something rare. Time.
And the understanding that it would not last forever. The first sign of trouble did not come from Earth.
It came from the stars.
Deep space observatories detected a distortion far beyond the veil's fading edge, a collapse of space-time moving like a slow wound through the dark. It was not natural, and it was not Valerian in origin. Something else had noticed Earth. The Valerian reacted immediately. Not with fear, but with caution. Your world has been seen, they told Elena. Contact draws attention. The words settled heavily across human networks.
We didn't invite this, Elena said.
No one ever does, came the reply. The phenomenon approached from interstellar space, invisible to the naked eye but devastating in theory. A remnant weapon left behind by a long-dead civilization, an autonomous construct that consumed stellar energy to sustain itself.
A star devourer.
If it reached Earth's system, it would not attack directly.
It would drain the sun.
Panic threatened to undo weeks of progress.
Military forces demanded weapons.
Corporations demanded control of Valerian knowledge. Old instincts roared back to life. We need them to stop it, leaders argued. That's what they are here for. The Valerians' response was immediate and firm.
This is your test. Silence followed.
They explained carefully. We may deflect the threat, once.
But if we do, you will never stand without US.
Dependence is a different form of extinction.
Humanity faced a brutal truth.
This was the price of guidance without guardianship. Elena addressed the world, her voice steady but raw. They won't save us for free, she said. Because being saved isn't the same as surviving. Scientists raced against time, applying Valerian principles rather than Valerian solutions. Energy flow models.
Stellar shielding concepts.
Gravitational harmonics.
Nothing was ready.
Everything was necessary. As the Star Devourer crossed the outer system, the veil flickered. Lyon watched the humans struggle.
They will fail, the younger watcher said. Perhaps, Aru-Tha replied.
But failure does not mean the end. Then something extraordinary happened. Former rival nations shared data openly. Private corporations released proprietary research. Military assets were repurposed into construction platforms instead of weapons.
Not everywhere. Not everyone.
But enough.
A plan emerged.
Not to destroy the Star Devourer, but to starve it. Using energy redirection fields based on Valerian flow principles, humanity attempted to shield the sun's output, bending radiation inward, denying the construct its fuel.
It was imperfect. Risky. Brilliant.
As the system activated, the construct reacted violently.
Solar flares surged.
Earth's skies burned with auroras visible even at the equator. Elena watched from orbit aboard a hastily assembled observation platform. If this fails, she whispered, we don't get another chance. Behind the veil, Aru-Tha made a decision. Prepare intervention protocols, it said softly. But you said. I said we would not save them from consequences, Aru-Tha replied. Not that we would let learning end. The human system held. Barely. The Star Devourer faltered, its energy intake collapsing. Deprived of fuel, it drifted, inert, toward the cold dark beyond the system.
Earth survived. Cheers erupted across the planet. But the Valerian did not celebrate. They watched.
You stood, without us, they said at last. This is how civilizations are born. The veil thinned further, its light fading like the last glow of sunset. Elena felt a quiet sadness.
You're leaving, she said. Yes.
For good.
A pause. For now. The stars above Earth returned to their familiar patterns. But humanity knew now.
The universe was watching. The veil did not vanish all at once. It thinned day by day, like mist lifting from a morning field. Its violet glow softened, then faded, until only the familiar black of space remained above Earth.
The Valerian were gone.
No farewell ceremony marked their departure.
No final speech echoed across the planet.
They left as they had arrived, quietly, deliberately, without claiming credit.
And humanity felt the absence immediately. The world did not become perfect. There were still arguments, still borders, still fear and ambition. But something fundamental had shifted. Humanity had seen itself from the outside. And it could not unsee it.
The knowledge the Valerian left behind was incomplete by design.
There were no starship blueprints.
No weapons beyond imagination. Only principles, energy balance, cooperation, and restraint.
Progress slowed at first. Then it deepened. Cities were redesigned around sustainability rather than speed.
Education became humanity's greatest shared investment. Artificial intelligence development was bound to ethical frameworks written collectively, not imposed by power.
Mistakes were made, but they were owned.
Elena Cade returned to a quieter life.
She refused titles, declined power.
She taught instead, young minds hungry not for control, but understanding. Sometimes, late at night, she would stand beneath the stars and speak softly, unsure if anyone listened. We're still trying, she would say. And sometimes, just sometimes, she felt a warmth in the silence.
Years passed. Then decades.
Humanity reached beyond its system, not as conquerors, but as careful explorers. First to nearby stars, then farther still. They carried warnings as carefully as hope.
They did not rush.
They remembered the lesson. Far across the galaxy, in a place beyond human perception, the Valerian watched once more. They endure, Lyon observed.
Yes, Aru-Tha replied.
They stumble.
They argue.
They grow. And when will we return?
Aru-Tha gazed at the distant spark of Earth.
When they no longer need us to ask that question. On Earth, long after the veil had faded from memory and become legend, children learned the story in classrooms and beneath open skies.
Not as a tale of invasion. Not as a story of salvation. But as the moment humanity learned it was part of something larger, and chose to act accordingly.
The universe remained vast and dangerous.
But it was no longer silent.
And somewhere beyond 1,000 light-years, the watchers smiled, not with pride, but with quiet approval.
Humanity had not been saved. It had been invited.
And it had chosen to walk forward, on its own.